there's blog posts I did years ago, and there's affiliate links in there that are still generating income for me, even though I don't like actively talk about the product.
Welcome to Empowerista, a show dedicated to helping you show up and be seen as an entrepreneur. I'm your host, Alex Worley, the CEO of Empowerista, an award-winning producer and national TV host, seen on platforms like Entrepreneur.com, Amazon Prime, and Business Rockstars. These are the tips and truths to amplify your influence and income.
Joining me today on the Empowerista podcast, we've got Becca Tetzlaff. She is the creator, blogger, podcaster behind Organically Becca. She's a fellow Wisconsinite, and we've been following each other for a while, so it's so fun to finally connect live, and thanks for joining me, Becca.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alex. I don't know, this is just, I love connecting with local people, and when you're finding someone who's like just trudging along, doing their own business thing too, it's really cool to connect and just see what each other are up to. So thank you.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned the whole local aspect because my husband and I newly moved back to Wisconsin. We're still out in Los Angeles a lot, but we were out in LA for 4 years full time. And there's a huge blogger, influencer, content creator scene out there. And so it was different coming home, but I think it's really refreshing because there's a lot of noise out there, and there's a lot of that same aesthetic of like palm tree in the background. And so it's been fun for me to both consume content from Midwesterners and to create more Midwest content. How about you? What's your experience being a blogger specifically in Milwaukee? Do you feel like your location impacts your point of view at all?
I don't know. I think just like Midwesterners in general, just there's kind of that notion that people are like nice and sweet and all that. So I don't know how that really plays into it at all, but like I don't really see myself as like, you know, going out to all these big events and doing all these big conferences and whatever. It's like, I'm just here to like help people who, no matter where they live, they can like choose more natural things or whatever. And I mean, Milwaukee has like, there's a good little network of bloggers in Milwaukee, and I've been able to connect with a lot of people. So it's actually been really cool. And like, there are people who do share similar interests in this area. So you're not going to find as many as like out in LA, where it's like there's probably a million different people doing the same thing you're doing. But out here, I feel like you can be a little more like,
it's more tight knit.
Yeah, definitely.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the exciting thing is, because obviously listeners are from all over. Some of them are from the big cities, but some are from, middle America as well. The exciting thing about content creation and blogging is you literally can do it from anywhere. And I think that's the main takeaway that I want to share with listeners, is that it's very accessible. There's a very low barrier to entry, and you don't have to be in Los Angeles. In fact, I really think that it can be helpful to have a different point of view. I know as a consumer, as I just mentioned, it can be refreshing to see, Midwest scenery, or, I follow some influencers in Nashville and I love that city. So it's fun to see what they're up to, so it's really accessible. But anyway, that was a huge tangent. Let's get back to you. I would love to know first of all, how did you first become really passionate about organic products and just living a natural lifestyle?
Yeah, so I feel like this is actually pretty common amongst other people who are kind of into this more natural thing, but like it starts with a health issue or a health scare for a lot of people. So for me, it was like I just had really bad like skin problems and acne, and my hormones were like crazy all over the place. And, I went to a dermatologist, and it's like, here's this cream. Okay, bye. Slather this on your face and leave. And then it's like, well, why do I have acne? So I think, I've always kind of been into wellness. That's kind of looked different for me over the years, I guess. But I just was kind of like, I need to take this into my own hands and figure out what's going on with my body, because I don't want to just keep like doing quick fixes and stuff like that. So I was just like scouring the internet basically, and I just kind of came to this conclusion that like, okay, I need to heal from within. and fix what's going on internally, get to the root cause of everything. And basically, I just started learning about like all the different ingredients that are allowed in skincare and makeup and deodorant, and basically products I'm like applying to myself left and right. So it was kind of shocking. It was very eye-opening. And like one of the main things I learned was that like over in Europe, they ban over 1,300 ingredients in the different personal care products. And then here in the US, it's like 11. So they can throw whatever they want.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
not
like,
transparent. It's not like they tell you the risks of the various ingredients, or like we would even as consumers just immediately know what the ingredients are.
yeah, exactly. And like as consumers, we're just like, okay, I trust that this product has gone through its processes. It's fine for me. But that's not really the case. There's not a lot of regulation. And it's just like you really have to be your own advocate when it comes to all this stuff. So yeah, long story short, that was like a scare for me. And I just kind of went down the rabbit hole of like, oh my gosh, I gotta like clean up everything I'm using. Yeah, that's kind of how I got to where my
Yeah.
like crunchy lifestyle, I guess.
Yeah, I love it. You mentioned how your skin was a big motivation, and I could not agree more. The simpler my beauty regimen is, and like the cleaner the ingredients, the better my skin looks for sure. And
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a big no-no and I'm just getting lucky, but for my moisturizer, I literally use coconut oil.
I knew you were gonna say that. I mean
Organic coconut oil.
that works for some people. For me, I like it makes me break out like crazy. So like, I mean, yeah, you can't get more natural than that, but if it works for you,
Yeah, yeah.
good for you.
Everyone's so different, but okay, so I'm curious, you had this natural passion for natural living, for organic products. When did you decide that you wanted to turn it into a blog?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was doing all these like natural things, switching to natural deodorant, finding all the fun, clean beauty brands out there. And I mean, there were other things I was doing too, like holistic dental care things. And like, it just kind of all came
Mhm.
together. And I was like, this is really helping me. My skin's improving, my health is improving. I feel really fired up about this. So I don't think I like realized I was doing like a content creation type thing or really thought of it as like, oh, I'm starting this blog. I just basically started an Instagram account and a website. I have a web design background, so I kind of like wanted just to do it as a hobby.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just really wanted to share about it and tell everyone else what I was learning because I was just like very excited about it. And I didn't really have a plan or a strategy. Like I didn't think of it as a business. And this is just alongside, I had a full-time corporate job and I was just doing this on the side. So I was not really making like money from it. I kind of had some affiliate income on the side, but nothing that was like, a legit straight up business. So yeah, that's kind
Yeah.
of how it started. That was about 4 years ago.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I started in a very similar way and a similar timeline as well, where I just started my Instagram account. And
Yeah.
that is something I would really encourage, especially for aspiring content creators that aren't exactly sure what they want their business model to be yet. And maybe they're still playing around with different topics, but they want to talk about. Instagram, anyone can have an Instagram account.
Yeah.
It's the lowest barrier of entry, and it's such a great way to start honing in on your voice. I mean, you cannot develop your voice without doing it. You have to do the action of doing it. I mean, I don't know if you've ever looked back at your first few posts, but I recently did, and it's
Yes.
hilarious. And just like the graphic that I used and the things I talked about, and none of it's embarrassing, like our first few posts, anyone listening or watching, you don't have to feel embarrassed by
Yeah.
being a beginner, but you will strengthen that muscle the more you do it, and it'll become more and more authentic and more engaging. But I think the key is just to get started, and a quick way to get started is on Instagram.
Yeah. I've definitely gone back and looked at old posts, and I'm so glad they have that archive feature because I'm like, don't like that anymore.
Yeah, that's funny. That's
Yeah.
true too. You can always delete or archive.
Yeah. But I mean, it is really like, it's a good reminder to yourself to be like, oh, I've learned a lot since then. Or like, oh, I'm like, it's just a really good learning moment to go back and see how far you've come. So especially if you feel like you're currently in a rut or whatever, like just go back and look at old stuff and it will like inspire you to just realize where you currently are.
Yeah, so often we look at what's in front of us versus looking at what's behind us and realizing that we have come so far versus always focusing on how far we have to go, which is helpful for me as well. So you
Yeah.
mentioned that first it was a hobby. At what point did you decide that you wanted to turn it into a full-blown business?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was at my corporate job and it just was not like it's what I went to school for. But then I realized like this isn't really what I love doing. I would like secretly want to be doing all my blog stuff on the side while I was at work every day. And um, so, like a typical millennial, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I asked myself, like, can I make this work? Can I make this into a job? I was listening to podcasts and doing research and just trying to be inspired by like other people who were doing this like entrepreneurship thing. And I realized it was possible. I just needed to like put in the work and make it happen. Um,
There's so many
I,
good resources out
yeah,
there. I listen to so many podcasts and read so many blogs, and
yeah.
anything you want to know out there is at your fingertips. What are some of your favorite resources?
Well, I love your podcast.
Oh, girl.
I wish I knew about that back then. This was a couple of years ago. I think the main one I was really inspired by was the Gold Digger one, Jenna Kutcher.
I love her. Yeah.
Yeah, I was following Melissa Griffin. She had a lot of great info. Um, I don't know. I was just on Pinterest, like searching how to make money off your blog, and I
Yeah.
just anything. I was following people that I thought were inspiring, and um, I think what's important to note is like, you might have to spend money to buy a course and learn something you don't know, because it's not like you're magically going to have all this knowledge of this new thing you're trying to do. So
Totally.
yeah, I don't know if you have any other different like,
I love Amy Porterfield. She's
yeah,
really, really great when it comes to online marketing. Julie Solomon, she has the Influencer Podcast. That's a great resource. But to your point, yeah, I've definitely invested in courses before, list building courses, social media courses.
yeah,
So I think to your point, education is really, really important. And at the same time, learning and then taking action, learning and then taking action, because I've also been guilty before of wanting to just consume, consume, consume. But if you're
yes,
not taking action, I mean, there's no better education than doing it
yeah.
and trial and error.
Yeah, I mean, you might fail, you might do something totally wrong. Like, I don't think I really knew what I was doing when setting up an email list. And it's like, oh, I wish I could do that differently now. But at the time, you're just like, just trying it. And you can't expect to like see results without doing anything. So just got to dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you decided that you wanted to turn it into a business, you educated yourself, and then what was the next step? Did you set up your infrastructure, or tell me a little bit about how you actually made it a business?
Yeah, so I mean, I left my corporate job and I definitely was not ready financially with my blog. So I kind of took just time to like just see if I could make it work and grow it and make money from it. At the time, I was just doing like affiliate income with, brands would send me products and then I'd share about them. And then I would basically, you get a commission of the sales if people buy through your links. So,
Yeah, and for
um,
those who aren't familiar with affiliate programs, really anyone can be an affiliate. Like, for example, you can set up an Amazon affiliate program. You do
yep,
have to, there's a grace period where you get to prove that you can sell products. And then if you don't, I don't think you can continue, but as long as
Hmm.
you're selling product, you can. And then tell me a little bit about how you would approach your affiliate deals. Would you reach out to these companies? Would they reach out to you? For anyone interested in becoming an affiliate for more selective companies, tell us a little bit about your process.
Well, most brands, like honestly, it's pretty hands off. I would say it's always good to have like something established, like a website or an Instagram account, something that they can like look at and be like, okay, they're a person with a decent following. It doesn't even have to be huge, just like
Gosh,
they
even
know.
if you have 1,000 followers
Yeah,
and they're engaged, you very much so would be eligible for this.
yeah, like engagement is definitely bigger than following, I think too. But a lot of websites literally have, if you go to their page, scroll to the bottom, there's usually like a little thing that says sign up as an affiliate. And there's a bunch of different programs out there, like Share Sale's a big one, like different platforms you can sign up on basically. And you literally just sign up and then you get like, I mean, it might look different. It might be a special coupon code you get, or a little like link you have that's like a code specific for you so they can like track where these purchases are coming from. So, I mean,
Do they send you products to
it's
proceed?
it's different every time. A lot of when I first started, it's like, a lot of times if you're really small, brands might not be sending you stuff because you don't have a huge following yet. So basically how I started was I was like buying all these things myself, and it's stuff I liked and wanted to recommend. So I signed up as an affiliate. And eventually more brands, like you gain traction and stuff gets
Yeah.
sent your way. So, I mean, it's going to look,
Then you get a commission. And it's usually around what, 10%?
yeah, that's kind of the standard. It depends if it's like a really expensive thing or not, but yeah, 10 to 20% is usually pretty typical.
Yeah. So that's a really common place to start. But obviously, in order to make a lot of money, you really have to scale that, meaning you really have to sell to a lot of people in
Yeah.
order for it to add up to, rent or mortgage money. So you had mentioned that you left your corporate job before your income was scaled. So would you recommend that? Are you glad that you kind of burned the boats and took the risk, or if you went back, would you have better prepared financially?
Um, I feel like I kind of needed to just do it and just jump in. Otherwise, I might have been like a little more picky about taking risks, I think.
Mhm.
I'm very fortunate that like I'm married and my husband has a good job. So like I wasn't like, oh my God, where's my like grocery money gonna come from? So
Yeah.
I'm definitely lucky in that aspect. Um, yeah, I don't know if I really would have done a lot much different, but I will be honest and like I did the whole like full-time thing for about a year and a half, and then I was like, I'm burning myself out and I'm putting way too much pressure on myself to make a certain amount of money each month from this blog. And then it's like, at that point, it's like, it's not fun anymore when you're just like pressure, pressure, pressure. So,
And this was after you left your job? Okay,
yep.
so then you felt that pressure to make a certain amount of money and it wasn't happening at first. And
Yeah.
so yeah, how did you handle that pressure?
So I was like, I think it's best for me if I just get a part-time job. So I do that. I have a part-time thing that I do remotely, and it's just like, if I really did focus full time on blogging and everything, I know I could make it work, but I do just like having that little like chunk
Yeah.
of my day that's structured. I know I'm going to get a paycheck, and it honestly frees me up to be more creative and a little more like free with other stuff I do on my blog. So I think I just like saying that because I feel like people see these like people doing their own business and they're like, oh my God, that looks amazing. All she does is play with makeup all day and she has all this money. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
there's so much that goes into it. And I'm sure like just people really only see what you post on social media, and that's their image of
Oh,
um
for sure.
yeah.
Sure. And similarly, I have client work. So I
Yeah.
like I use social media to help get more client work. but it's not like I make money. In fact, that's not even a revenue stream for me right now to have sponsors or affiliate links. Those aren't my revenue streams. And I use, my content to get more clients, but I
Yes.
think the key is to get creative about it. And I do think that there's something to be said about taking that pressure off and getting back to the fun of it,
Mm-hmm.
because we all have to make money. So, or
Yeah.
most of us at least. And so I think just figuring out what's a way that you can do that and enjoy what it is that you're doing with your content creation. And if you have figured out how to go full time with your blog, great. If that means getting a part-time gig, there's no shame in that either.
Yeah. And like it definitely felt like a step back for me at first. And like I know no one was thinking that about me, but in my mind I'm like, oh, I just had this like really cushy corporate job and now I'm doing a part-time job on the side of, like I felt like I was just being hard on myself about it, but it's like at the end of the day, you just got to do what works for you, and it might not always be long term, but just figure out what makes you the most productive and happy.
And that's the key. What makes you the most happy? I think we all have to take a step back and get rid of the shoulds and
Yes.
society's definition of happiness and ask ourselves, what's going to make me happy and what's my definition of success? Because yes, for some people that might be a title in corporate America, that might be a really sweet paycheck, but really ask yourself, is that what it is? Or maybe you want that sweet paycheck because it buys you something like
Yeah.
vacations that you really, really value, But sometimes, like, getting more time and freedom to work on your hobbies or your passion projects, that's truly often what is going to make someone happy. And in which case, it's really, really brave to admit that and to go after that.
Yeah. Yes. I know. It's when you look back, like when you're growing up, like what do you want to do when you're an adult? And it's like, it's just crazy how much it changes. And what you think you want to do is not necessarily what actually happens and what makes you happy. So it's just, I don't know, adulting.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So how has your business model evolved? I know you still do affiliate links, but it
Mm-hmm.
seems like you have various revenue streams now. So tell me a little bit about your business.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm doing a bunch of different things. So affiliate income is kind of like a really big chunk, and it's just kind of like it's always there, but I don't necessarily have to do a lot with it. But something to note about affiliate links, it's like it can take years to see any sort of return on that. Like I remember when I was beginning, it's like I got this like $2 paycheck from an affiliate thing I was signed up for. And it's like, oh, cool. I put in all this work and I get $2 from it. But like it can be very successful if you do it correctly.
And how would you, just real quick tangent, how would you say is the correct way to promote affiliate products?
I think you just have to be genuine with it. And I always say up front, like, hey, I might get a commission if you purchase through this, and that helps support me. And a lot of people are very receptive to that because they do want to like help me out too.
Mhm.
And then they look to me as like a source they trust. So I think you really have to have trust with your audience. You just, I don't, I don't know. It's
Yeah, I
just,
think you do a really, because, I follow you on Instagram, and you do such a great job of being authentic and demonstrating the value of different products. You're not talking about the features and the benefits. Like, it's
mhm,
not about fat. I mean, I'm sure sometimes you are, but like, it's not just about here's the price, here's the texture,
right.
here's what it does. Sure, that stuff is important to understand, but even more importantly is like, okay, use the product, show me the results of the product,
Yeah.
show me how this is incorporated into your lifestyle. Like, I know I see you doing the cold brews all the time.
Yeah.
That is the way that you wake up in the morning, is with your cold brews, and so
Right.
you're demonstrating the lifestyle. You're not saying, hey, purchase this cold brew because it's cheap and it tastes good. You're showing us that you're enjoying it.
Yeah. Well, and like when people just feel like they're being sold to, it's like no, get that away from me. And it's like, I just want to show people like, this is what I truly use, but at the same time, like, this is how I support my blog. So it's like, there's a give and take. And I think it just ultimately comes down to like your audience really trusting you.
Yeah. Okay, so can you give us an example of an affiliate campaign that was a success for you and maybe a little insight into why you think it was a success?
Yeah. So this might be kind of weird for people, but like, I'm really into menstrual cups.
Yeah.
And I think it's just kind of a weird topic for a lot of people, but I really just try to make it approachable and show
Take away the
people,
stigma and make it not
yeah,
taboo. Yeah.
yeah, like I know this looks weird, but hear me out. This brand sent me their menstrual cup and I tried it out and it worked for me. And I think just being really like open about it, be like, hey, I'm here to answer any questions you have about it. It's not weird for me. I really want to help you out. It's helped me a ton and I think it could help you too. And then like just explaining how it's better for the environment. It's just way less of a burden on you for that time of the month.
Mhm.
So again, just like this is how I use it in my everyday life and how it's truly, truly helped me, and just being transparent and open, and
Yeah.
versus like, you should buy this menstrual cup, but it's more like, this is why I love the menstrual cup. So yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, speaking from that first person, I think is important.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what is your best tool or platform? Like, do you find the most success with stories, with your Instagram feed? Where's it happening for you?
Stories is a big one because I don't know, I feel like that's just where I show up the most as myself. I don't come on with a filter, or I don't even wear makeup all the time. Like I'm just there chatting with people, showing my day today, showing my dogs, showing what I'm eating, my cold brew. And I just feel like that's where people can like connect with me. So stories are definitely a big one. Um, I feel like posting on my Instagram feed, that's where I like to be a little more like polished and pretty and have a
Yes.
nice curated feed. It still does well there, but I just feel like it's way more personal on stories. And I think people like, it might look different for some other people. Like some people hate showing up on stories with their face and like talking to the camera. So um, yeah, and then I usually have my blog, and I feel like the blog aspect is good because it's long term. Like if you're posting on your stories or your Instagram feed, that's there for 24 hours, or people really only see it on your feed for like 3 to 5 days, and then it's like kind of gone. So the blog is nice because it can just like keep generating traffic.
It's like a
And
library of content that
yeah,
people can come to as a resource for anyone
yeah.
who has that interest.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's blog posts I did years ago, and there's affiliate links in there that are still generating income for me, even though I don't like actively talk about the product, because it's just constantly being picked up by Google. And yeah, so I
That's
think,
awesome.
yeah. What was the question again?
Oh, well, so we were talking about your different revenue streams,
Okay.
but then in true Alex fashion, I asked you a follow-up question and we went on a tangent. But yeah, so you said you do the affiliate links and then you have branched out to doing other things too. Tell us about the other things.
Yeah, so I do have my podcast, Positively Green podcast. That's with my friend Kelsey. We recently started getting sponsors for that, so that's kind of how we support that little, I guess, side endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of treat that separately from my blog, though, sometimes, just because it's like a co-hosted type of thing.
Sure.
But that is gaining revenue. We're still kind of getting that off the ground. It's been a little over a year. But then, so affiliate income, I also do sponsorships on my blog, but I don't love relying on that to be like my main thing, because I mean, it is kind of scary. Like, when's my next sponsorship coming? You know, like you constantly feel like you have to have that booked, or I don't know. I just don't also personally love doing like sponsored things left and right, because I think people kind of get turned off by that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like my little nice to have little bonus every month, I guess you can say. Like, you know, I don't actively necessarily seek out sponsorships, or whatever. But it's just kind of like, if it's a product I really love and a brand I really love, and they're asking me like, they want all these deliverables, then I definitely feel like it's something I need to be compensated for. So,
Sure.
yeah, that's kind of just a little extra thing I do.
And they typically reach out to you?
Yeah, usually I know a lot of people are really active about like seeking out sponsorships. I'm just not really that way. I don't know. I love focusing on just my other parts of my blog, and then these other things just kind of happen, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we've got affiliate links, sponsors, anything else for revenue streams?
Yep. So I have digital products, and then I also offer consultations. So my digital products are just like digital PDF downloads. One's like a workbook that people can learn about clean beauty, and then another one's like more about learning about the ingredients. So those are just like little things people can buy on my website. I kind of try to plug them into different like blog posts and everything. So passive income is great.
Amazing. Yep.
Yep. And then consultations, that's something I started just kind of within this past year, but it's basically people can like work with me one-on-one. I will specifically help them like swap out their makeup routine. And I know people value like my knowledge about clean beauty and everything. So it's just a way I can help people, but also make money from it and just give them that.
From selling the products?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Customized.
That's awesome.
Customized service. So I kind of have a bunch of different things.
Yes.
Yeah. And like, I'll even do guest blog posts for brands, or if they need me to take photos of something. So I like having the different streams, and it keeps it fun and exciting, and I don't have to like solely focus on one thing. So I think just like people should figure out what they like doing, what works well from them. And I don't necessarily think it's good to like put your eggs all in one basket. Like I see people focus so much on like just Instagram, and it's like, well, what if Instagram goes away? What if the engagement just suddenly isn't there? And it's like, have your backup, have all your different streams and funnels and everything. So I'm sure you know all about that.
Yeah. So for you, that's primarily your blog, Instagram, and podcasting?
Yep.
Your three main platforms? Yeah.
Yeah.
And what revenue stream would you say that you're having the most success with?
I think collectively affiliate income is my biggest one, just because my blog's been out there for years and things just keep building on each other. So that's kind of my main one right now.
And any advice, especially since you have a background in building websites, any advice for how to get people to your website?
Yeah. So just like figure out SEO and search engines and Google Analytics.
SEO sounds so overwhelming to me.
I'm still overwhelmed by it. What?
That is a nut I have not cracked.
Yeah. So thankfully I have a husband who also has like a web development background, so he does help me out a lot with this stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I'm still learning about SEO, to be honest. Like there's always things to learn, but one of the biggest things that has helped my blog is actually Pinterest. And I don't know if you've really dived into Pinterest much.
I have been hearing a ton about it as well. And no, the answer is no, other than just pinning myself, but like obsessively being like, oh, this is what I want to remodel my kitchen. Like, but as a blogger, no, I haven't. But yes, please continue, because I'm so interested, because I've heard so many good things. Yeah,
I mean, I used to use it too, just like as a user, like, oh, that hairstyle's pretty, that kitchen's pretty. But I took a bunch of courses on it, and that was like a huge shift for me, because you kind of have to think of it as like pin for the people you want to attract versus like pinning for stuff you like. So for example, I pin about like clean beauty, natural skincare, holistic remedies, more sustainable and zero waste, plastic-free stuff. So it's like kind of stuff my blog talks about, but I'll pin other people's content of that. if
Mhm.
that makes sense. But then I also just I make pins for every one of my blog posts, and I have them embedded in my blog post. So if people pin from there, it's constantly grabbing people back to your blog. And for example, I made a blog post this week and I put a pin on it, and then literally within 24 hours it had over 2,000 views on it, and I'm like, oh.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so Pinterest is kind of like a search engine
Mhm.
instead of social media, and it's constantly just, there's pins I've made 4 years ago that are still getting thousands of hits, and I'm like, I have no idea how this is happening, but I'll take it. So
That's
definitely
awesome.
utilize Pinterest, because that's one of the main ways people actually get to my blog, other than search engines and all that nerdy stuff.
Yeah, and do you do Pinterest ads or just all organic?
I do ads occasionally. I haven't seen a huge, see, that's something I'm still learning about too, is the whole ad aspect of
Mhm.
Pinterest and Facebook and all that. But I haven't seen a huge uptick when I do the Pinterest ads. A lot of it's just organic. There is a service called Tailwind. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I am. It basically posts the pins for you. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can schedule them out. So I just spend an hour a week on Pinterest, and then you schedule it to Tailwind, and then it basically chunks them out, so it's not all at once.
Hmm.
Then they also have something called Tailwind Tribes, and that's essentially you can join these little groups of like-minded people, and then you kind of help pin each other's pins. So those have been very successful for me, and I think since I joined Tailwind, it's just been crazy traffic from Pinterest. So highly recommend that.
Cool. Well, thanks for that insider tip.
Yeah.
Great. So I would imagine that niching down is really helpful as well, to have a specific topic that people know to come to you for, that you're the expert for. And so when they're Googling, best organic skincare, you pop up. Tell me a little bit about your experience with that.
Yeah, I mean, I like it because I feel like you're more of a big fish in a small pond versus if I just focused on beauty in general, it's how many beauty bloggers and YouTubers, and it's just, that's such a huge industry that when you focus down onto green beauty, clean beauty, natural, it's it just, it's a whole different playing field. So yeah, I really like it. I feel like there's so many people that have found me just because I'm blogging about these super specific things, or these brands I work with, for example, they're not huge brands either, because the industry as a whole just isn't as huge. So
Yeah.
I personally know some of these founders of these skincare products that I use, and it's just I just like that. It's way more personable. It's way more intimate. I can be more one-on-one with people. And it's just way more specific, but I guess it might look different for every different industry. So
Well, and people search specific things. So when you have specific posts, then they're more likely to find you.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So my new book, Confidently on Camera, How to Create Your First Video Series, is officially out into the world at the time that this
Yay.
will be released, at least. And so I thought that I could talk to you a little bit about your experience with what makeup you do for when you're on camera, and any tips you have for being on camera, because I think you're so good at just being natural on camera. So let's talk about both of those things,
Okay.
starting with your makeup. I know sometimes you show up just without makeup, which I do too, which is perfect for stories. Sometimes even my feed, I'll show up without makeup. I think people really crave that authenticity. And then, of
Yes.
course, there's a time and place to look a little bit more polished. So tell me about your philosophy.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I personally love seeing just people show up, no makeup, no filters and everything, because I don't know, it kind of makes you feel better about yourself too. When it's oh, cool,
Totally. Oh, I'm
I
not a
don't,
bum.
yeah, exactly. Oh, okay, other people are like this. They're not perfect and filtered 24/7. So I just like that for my audience too, because I mean, especially coming from where my whole blog is founded on the fact that I used to have acne and skincare, and skin problems. So it's like, I just want people to like feel comfortable with their skin and just also see like, hey, I get pimples too. Like it's, I don't know, but then also like being able to say how these products have helped me is huge too. But I don't know. I just like showing up on stories, just like, like I'm not going to get ready just to show up on stories. That's a waste of time.
Yeah. And I think the key is knowing your audience, because certainly, yes, if you are making videos for a big corporation and you want to look like a trusted advisor and this is going on LinkedIn, then yeah, you're going to probably go for a more polished look. But if you have kind of the BFF role where you're showing up in stories and connecting to like-minded women who are also working in their yoga pants today, then you want to meet your audience where they're at. And if where they're at is makeupless and in yoga pants, that's a great place to meet them.
Yeah, for
Which
sure.
I often do.
Or you look nice on top and then the bottom it's like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then what about any tips for being on camera? Did that feel natural for you from the get-go, or did it take some time?
No, definitely not natural. I specifically remember because I think I started my Instagram before they had stories. So all of a sudden these stories came out and I'm very introverted and shy. I hate public speaking. So I literally remember trying to record my first story and just redoing it 500 times because I was like, this is so awkward. This is horrible. I can't do it. It's not natural. So it took time to get comfortable with it and practice. And but you just have to do it. The good thing about stories is they're gone in a day. So.
Totally. And what's great is you can record your stories just on your phone, and then you can delete it if you don't like that version. And when you're starting out, like you said, the key is practice, doing it over again. Even if you have to do 10 takes before you find one that you're comfortable with, just the act of doing it and practicing, you're going to get more natural.
Yeah. And if it's something I'm specifically sharing about, like a product, I kind of like to write beforehand, just little notes to myself, key points I want to hit. Otherwise I'm all over the place and scrambled. And so it might look super natural, but I did sometimes prepare for even just stories, just so I kind of have everything gathered. And that's just what works for me. Some people can be totally off the cuff and just go and roll with it. I can't. I have to be okay, this is what we're going to talk about. So yeah, but I'm definitely not something that comes natural to me. Even just this recording, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh, you are doing great and look adorable. I am obsessed with your office too.
Thank you.
Well, for more on-camera tips, obviously my book is available, so listeners and viewers can get it at confidentlyoncamera.com. And for anyone who wants to work with you, whether they want to sign up for a free consultation, get one of your digital products, or buy one of your physical products that you are an affiliate for, where can they keep up with you?
Yeah, so you can just go to organicallybecca.com. That's the main hub. I'm also on Instagram at Organically Becca. For my consultations, it's just organicallybecca.com/consult. And then I try to just make my blog very easy to navigate. And I do have a whole page that lists my personal favorite products. So if you're oh, what deodorant does Becca use? What cleanser does Becca use? I have a whole page on my blog just for that. So I really hope it's easy just to find anything you're looking for. And then again, my Clean Beauty 101 workbook, that's a really good place to start if you're not really sure how to define what is a clean product? What are the ingredients I should be avoiding? Why does it matter? What are the health impacts? That's just a really good baseline place to start. So yeah,
awesome.
I think that's it.
Cool. Well, Becca, was so good, like I said, to finally connect live with a fellow Wisconsin girl. And thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Alex. This was great.
Well, that's it for today's show. If you're loving this podcast, don't forget to subscribe so we can meet again next week, same time, same place. Thank you so much for listening and have an amazing week.